Today we're diving into one of the most powerful, yet most misunderstood tools of human connection: eye contact. We've all heard the clichés. The eyes are the window to the soul. He looked at her across a crowded room. But beyond the poetry and the romantic comedy tropes, there is a profound, often invisible science at play. When you lock eyes with someone, a complex neurological and psychological dance begins, one that can determine whether you remain strangers, become friends, or forge a bond so deep it feels almost unbreakable. But here's the crucial distinction. Not all eye contact is created equal. There's the fleeting glance of politeness, the aggressive stare of a challenge, and then there's the look. The one that makes time slow down, the one that feels less like looking at someone and more like looking into them. That moment is a biological and psychological handshake. It's a bid for connection. So how do you know when that moment has actually worked? How can you tell if the eye contact you shared didn't just pass the time, but actually created a deep subconscious bond? Today, we're going to explore 4 specific, tangible signs that your eye contact has transcended the superficial and forged a genuine psychological connection. We'll look at the neuroscience, the evolutionary biology, and the subtle cues that reveal what's really happening beneath the surface. Let's begin with the first sign. Sign number 1, the synchronization of pupils. The first sign that your eye contact has created a deep bond is something you likely won't see consciously, but your brain will register it instantly. It's the synchronization of your pupils. When we talk about attraction or deep connection, we often think about the conscious mind, the things we say, the jokes we tell, the stories we share. But a deep bond is forged in the subconscious, and your pupils are the most honest communicators in your body. They don't lie. They don't perform. They simply react. Here's the science. The pupil's primary job is to regulate light, but it is also exquisitely sensitive to emotional and cognitive arousal. When you see something you like, something you desire, or someone you find deeply engaging, your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight system, activates in a low-grade positive way. This activation causes your pupils to dilate. It's an involuntary response. You can't fake it. Now, here's where the bond forms. Research, particularly the work of psychologists like Eckhart Hess from the University of Chicago back in the 1970s, and more modern fMRI studies, has shown that pupil dilation is contagious. When you are locked in a mutual gaze with someone, your brain is not just looking at their eyes, it's unconsciously tracking their pupil size, and if you see that their pupils are dilated, your own pupils will mirror that dilation to match theirs. This is a form of limbic synchrony. The limbic system is the emotional center of your brain. When your pupils synchronize, it's a physical sign that your emotional states are aligning. You are, on a biological level, entering the same emotional frequency. The other person's brain reads your dilated pupils as a signal of safety, interest, and openness. It's a feedback loop. Your dilation signals attraction. Their brain sees it and feels safe, which causes their own pupils to dilate further. You see that, and your own interest deepens. When this happens, the bond isn't just formed in the mind, it's formed in the body. You've likely experienced this without knowing why. Have you ever had a conversation where you suddenly felt like you could trust this person implicitly, even though you'd just met them? Where the words were ordinary, but the feeling was extraordinary. That was your pupils and theirs having a silent conversation. A deep bond created by eye contact means you've bypassed the conscious gatekeepers. You've gone straight to the primal brain. The synchronization of pupils is the first sign that this has happened. It creates a sensation of warmth and openness. If you're in a conversation and you feel this inexplicable sense of comfort and engagement, you can be relatively sure that your eyes are not just looking, they're connecting on a physiological level. The person across from you feels safe, and safety is the foundation of every deep bond. Now, how do you know this is happening if you can't see your own pupils? You feel it. It feels like a gentle expansion of your visual field. It feels like the other person's eyes become darker or warmer. More importantly, you'll notice the other person lingering. They won't want to break the gaze because their brain is being flooded with oxytocin, the bonding hormone, from this mutual synchronized feedback loop. So the first sign is biological mirroring. The bond is confirmed when the conversation flows effortlessly, not because of what you're saying, but because of the silent physiological agreement happening between your two nervous systems. Let's move to the second sign, which takes this biological connection and translates it into a behavioral one. Sign number 2, the disruption of the default gaze pattern. The second sign that your eye contact has created a deep bond is a noticeable disruption to what psychologists call the default gaze pattern. Under normal social circumstances, human beings follow a fairly predictable script when it comes to eye contact. We engage in what's known as gaze aversion to regulate intimacy. When we're listening, we tend to look at the speaker about 60 to 70% of the time. When we're speaking, we tend to look away more often, around 40% of the time, because we're accessing our memory and formulating thoughts. This back and forth, look away, look back, is a dance that keeps the interaction at a comfortable, socially appropriate level of intimacy. When a deep bond is formed through eye contact, that default pattern breaks down. It breaks down in two specific ways. First, the duration of the gaze extends far beyond the social norm. In typical Western culture, a direct gaze lasting longer than 3 to 5 seconds outside of intimate relationships begins to trigger a sense of unease. It's perceived as either aggressive or sexually forward. But when a bond is forming, you'll find that both you and the other person comfortably sustain eye contact for 10, 15, even 20 seconds or more. It doesn't feel aggressive. It feels like time has stopped. It feels like you're in a bubble. This extended duration is a signal of mutual vulnerability. In the animal kingdom, a sustained stare is often a challenge. But in humans, when accompanied by a relaxed face, a slight tilt of the head, or a soft smile, a prolonged gaze signals, "I am not a threat, and I am willing to be seen by you." It's an offering of authenticity. By not looking away, you're saying, "I'm not hiding anything." The second disruption is more subtle but equally telling, the inhibition of the speech-related gaze aversion. Remember how I mentioned that people usually look away when they speak to concentrate? When a deep bond is formed, this instinct often shuts down. You'll find that you and the other person can speak to each other while maintaining near constant eye contact. This happens because the brain starts to prioritize the connection over the mechanics of speech. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex thought and social inhibition, begins to relax. When you feel safe and bonded with someone, your brain reduces its threat detection activity. You no longer need to look away to think because you don't feel judged. The cognitive load of conversation decreases. It feels easy. You're not filtering yourself, you're simply expressing. And that expression is happening while looking directly into the other person's eyes. This disruption of the default pattern is a profound sign of bonding because it indicates that the relationship has already moved past the acquaintance stage and into something more familiar. You are treating each other with the intimacy usually reserved for close friends or lovers, even if you just met. You can test this in your own memory. Think of a time when you had a conversation that felt electric or deep. Chances are you didn't spend much time looking at your coffee cup or out the window or at your phone. You were locked in. The social rules of glancing and looking away simply evaporated because the bond made them irrelevant. That's the second sign. The gaze pattern breaks and you enter a shared space of sustained, comfortable vulnerability. Now, if the first two signs are about the moment of connection, the third sign is about what happens after the connection is broken, and that is where the depth of the bond is truly revealed. Sign number 3, the reluctant re-entry. The third sign that your eye contact created a deep bond is what I call the reluctant re-entry. This is the behavior that occurs after the eye contact finally breaks. Eventually, even the deepest gaze must end. We need to blink, we need to look at our food, or we need to navigate the physical world. But how the gaze ends, and what happens immediately after, is a critical indicator of whether a bond was formed or not. When eye contact is superficial or merely polite, the break is clean. Person A looks away to check their watch. Person B looks away to scan the room, and the interaction resets. It's like a door closing. But when a deep bond has been forged, the break is messy. It's reluctant. It carries an emotional weight. There are several behaviors that define this reluctant re-entry. The first is the slow break. In normal social interaction, we break eye contact abruptly when we feel we've reached the limit of social comfort. In a bonded gaze, the break is often slow, almost languid. The eyes will soften. The gaze will drift downward, often to the mouth or the hands, rather than darting to the side. A downward gaze is a submissive, vulnerable gesture. It signals, I am not breaking this connection because I'm disinterested. I'm breaking it because I have to, and I'm doing so with care. The second behavior is the lingering smile, or the aftermath expression. After the eyes part, the facial expression doesn't immediately reset to neutral. If a deep bond was made, you'll often see a residual expression of warmth. A half smile that remains, a softening of the eyes that lingers for a few seconds afterward. It's as if the emotion from the gaze hasn't yet dissipated from the face. It's the emotional equivalent of a footprint left in the sand. The third, and perhaps most telling sign of a deep bond during this re-entry, is the compensatory gesture. When the gaze breaks, both parties often feel a sudden, tiny void. To fill that void, you'll see a mirroring of self-soothing behaviors. One person might touch their own neck or play with their hair. The other person might do the same. Or you might see what's called a gesture of continuation. One person will lean in slightly or tilt their head as if to say, I'm still here even though I'm not looking at you. This is the subconscious mind's way of maintaining the bond despite the visual separation. The bond was so strong that the physical body doesn't want to let it go. It seeks to maintain proximity through other means, through posture, through touch, through vocal tone. But there's one more element of the reluctant re-entry that is truly profound: the mutual checking in. After the gaze breaks and a few seconds pass, if the bond is deep, the eyes will inevitably be drawn back together. It's not a conscious decision. It's a magnetic pull. If you're sitting at a table with someone and you shared that deep gaze, you'll find that within 30 seconds to a minute, you're both looking at each other again. It's a check-in. It's the brain saying, are we still connected? Yes, we are. This cycle, the extended gaze, the reluctant break, the lingering warmth, the quick reconnection, is the rhythm of deep bonding. It's not a one-time event, it's a pattern. When this pattern establishes itself, you know the bond is real. Now let's get to the fourth sign. This is the one that moves the bond from a momentary experience to a lasting psychological imprint. Sign number 4, the altered state of self-consciousness. The fourth and final sign that your eye contact created a deep bond is a shift in your state of self-consciousness. Specifically, you experience a transition from feeling watched to feeling witnessed. This is the deepest level of psychological attraction. Most of us, most of the time, experience eye contact as a form of evaluation. We wonder, what do they think of me? Do I look okay? Am I being interesting? This is self-consciousness. It's a state of being hyper-aware of yourself as an object in someone else's gaze. It creates a subtle barrier. You are performing for the other person, and they are performing for you. When deep bonding eye contact occurs, that self-consciousness dissolves. It is replaced by something psychologists call intersubjectivity, the shared, mutual awareness that you are both experiencing the same moment together. You stop feeling like an object being looked at, and you start feeling like a subject being understood. This shift happens because of a fascinating neurological process involving the default mode network, or DMN. The DMN is a network of brain regions that is active when you are thinking about yourself, your past, your future, your social standing. It's the voice in your head that narrates your life. When you engage in deep, mutual eye contact with someone you feel a bond with, the DMN actually quiets down. Research using fMRI has shown that during moments of profound connection, the brain regions associated with self-reflection and social anxiety show decreased activity. At the same time, the regions associated with empathy and sensory processing increase their activity. In simple terms, you stop worrying about how you're coming across, and you start actually feeling the other person. This is the altered state. It feels like merging. It's the sensation of losing yourself in the other person's eyes, but not in a codependent way, in a liberating way. The internal monologue that usually says, "What should I say next? Do they like me?" goes silent. Instead, you experience a state of flow. Words might come easily, or they might not be necessary at all. Silence ceases to be awkward. It becomes a shared space. When you experience this altered state of self-consciousness, you are experiencing the pinnacle of human connection. It's the moment where the psychological construct of I and you temporarily blurs into we. This is why deep eye contact is often described as spiritual or transcendent. It's not magic. It's your brain temporarily letting go of the boundaries that define you as a separate individual in order to experience empathy at its fullest. For the bond to be considered truly deep, this state doesn't have to last for hours. Even a few seconds of this intersubjectivity can create a bond that lasts a lifetime. Why? Because it's rare. The human brain is usually too defensive, too guarded to allow this to happen with strangers. When it does happen, the brain marks it as significant. It tags the person you were with as safe, as like self. This is the foundation of attachment. When someone has witnessed you, not just watched you, but truly witnessed your essence without judgment, your brain forms a powerful associative bond with them. You will find yourself thinking about them later. You will feel a sense of trust that defies logic. You will feel like you've known them for years, even if you've only just met. And that is the ultimate sign that your eye contact created a deep bond. It's not about the duration of the stare or the intensity of the look. It's about the aftermath, the lingering feeling of being truly seen. Integrating the signs, a holistic view. So, we've covered the 4 signs. Let's quickly summarize them before we dive into why this matters for your life. 1. The synchronization of pupils. A biological unconscious mirroring that signals emotional alignment and safety. 2. The disruption of the default gaze pattern. Sustained eye contact that breaks the social rules of looking away, indicating a removal of social barriers. 3. The reluctant re-entry. The slow, gentle breaking of the gaze, followed by lingering warmth and an immediate magnetic pull to reconnect. 4. The altered state of self-consciousness. The shift from feeling evaluated to feeling understood, where your internal monologue quiets and you experience a state of we. Now, here's the crucial takeaway. These signs are not a checklist for manipulation. You don't stare at someone to force their pupils to dilate. In fact, if you try to force these signs, you'll trigger the opposite reaction. you'll appear aggressive, creepy, or emotionally needy. The psychology of attraction is paradoxical. The harder you try to create a bond, the more elusive it becomes. Real, deep eye contact is an offering, not a demand. It requires vulnerability. To experience these 4 signs, you have to be willing to be seen. You have to lower your own defenses first. When you look at someone with soft eyes, without an agenda, without the need to impress, you give them permission to do the same. You signal to their limbic system, I am safe, you can relax. This is why people who are comfortable in their own skin are often described as having a magnetic presence. They're not performing. They're not thinking about the right amount of eye contact to make. They are simply present. And that presence allows the other person's nervous system to sync up with theirs. The evolutionary roots. To truly appreciate the power of these 4 signs, it helps to understand why our brains are wired this way. We often think of language as the pinnacle of human communication, but evolutionarily speaking, eye contact is far older. For millions of years, long before we had language, our ancestors communicated trust and intent through gaze. A mother bonding with her infant relies almost entirely on mutual gaze to establish attachment. That gaze triggers the release of oxytocin in both the mother and the child, creating a bond that ensures the infant's survival. That same neurochemical pathway is activated when you share deep eye contact as an adult. The eyes are the only part of the brain that is visible from the outside. When you look into someone's eyes, you are, in a very real way, looking at a part of their brain. The retina is an extension of the central nervous system. So when we say eye contact, what we're really talking about is 2 nervous systems connecting directly without the filter of language. The 4 signs we discussed are the evidence of that connection. They are the markers of 2 people successfully navigating one of the most intimate acts 2 humans can share. What to do with this knowledge? So, you're listening to this and you're thinking, this is fascinating, but how do I use it? How do I create more of these moments in my life? The first step is to let go of the outcome. If you go into an interaction trying to create a deep bond, you're already operating from a place of self-consciousness, which is the opposite of what we want. Instead, focus on being present. Practice what I call soft gaze. Instead of staring intensely at the other person's eyes, look at them with a relaxed focus. Allow your vision to be wide. Look at their whole face. When you do this, your eyes naturally soften. This softness is perceived as non-threatening. It invites the other person to relax. Second, learn to tolerate the vulnerability. In our culture, we're taught that strong people look away first. We treat eye contact as a dominance game, but to form a bond, you have to be willing to be the one who doesn't look away. Not in a challenging way, but in a way that says, I'm not afraid to see you, and I'm not afraid for you to see me. This requires courage. Third, pay attention to the signs in the other person. If you attempt to hold a gaze and you see the other person's pupils constrict, or they startle, or they look away with a tense face, respect that. Not everyone is open to bonding at every moment. The psychology of attraction requires mutual consent, even at the subconscious level. If the signs aren't there, pull back, give them space. The bond can't be forced. Finally, recognize that these moments are precious. In our modern world, we are inundated with distractions. We look at screens more than we look at each other. The average person spends hours a day avoiding eye contact. This means that when you do engage in deep, meaningful eye contact, it stands out. It's rare. And because it's rare, it's powerful. When you experience the 4 signs, the pupil sync, the broken gaze patterns, the reluctant re-entry, the altered self-consciousness, don't dismiss it as mere chemistry. Understand it for what it is, a profound moment of human connection. Honor it. To wrap this up, eye contact is far more than a social nicety. It is a biological gateway. It is the most direct line of communication between two human souls, or if you prefer a more scientific term, between two complex nervous systems. The 4 signs we've discussed today are the roadmap to understanding whether that gateway has been opened. They move from the involuntary pupil dilation to the behavioral disrupted gaze patterns, to the relational reluctant re-entry, to the transcendent altered self-consciousness. When you find yourself in a conversation where all 4 of these signs are present, you are experiencing something special. You are participating in a bonding ritual that has been hardwired into humanity for hundreds of thousands of years. You are, for a moment, breaking through the loneliness of being a separate self and experiencing true intersubjectivity. And that, ultimately, is the psychology of attraction at its most profound. It's not just about attracting a mate or making a friend. It's about attracting understanding. It's about finding someone who looks at you and for a moment makes you feel less alone in the universe. So, the next time you're in a conversation, put away the phone. Take a breath. Soften your gaze. Look the other person in the eyes. And instead of thinking about what to say next, just listen, just see. You might be surprised to find that the connection you've been looking for was waiting for you in a moment of mutual silence, in the space between 2 pairs of eyes. Thank you for listening. If you found value in this exploration of attraction and psychology, please share this with someone you share a deep bond with, or someone you'd like to. Until next time, pay attention to the signs. They're always there if you're brave enough to look.